Right, so when I was fitting my CAV filter to the DAF, I had a few comments on the Facebook group about the CAV filter and it being good but not the best there is. And people suggested the Racor filter, which I think is the FG500, I think it is. The Racor filter and a Separ filter. So I actually bought a cheap Chinese knockoff copy of the Racor filter, the cyclonic version of it. So I thought what I'd do just quickly show you a bit of a comparison between the basic Sedimenter, the CAV filter, and then a Racor filter, a Racor cyclonic filter. So that's all this video is, just to show you the different ones. So without further ado, I'll jump straight into it. The Sedimenter, basically all this is a cunning device, a very crude device actually, because it's not a filter, but it's effectively a pre-filter. You could think about it as, but it's not really a filter, because the fuel comes into this head here, and any shit, debris and water, in fact, because obviously water, oil floats on water, comes into this. And then obviously on the bottom you've got a drain here. So this is a standard DAF equipment on the T244. So it comes into here, all the crap drops out. You can you don't unscrew this actually, just undo this bolt there. This will just drop straight off, and you can clean this out. And it is recommended to clean this out periodically. This thing works absolutely fine, but only if you periodically clean it. So everyone says these are always really gungy inside, and I've never cleaned mine. So let's have a look what it is like inside, shall we? It's called a Sedimenter for a reason. Yeah, it's not too bad compared to some pictures I've seen online. But yeah, that's all stuff you don't want going in your fuel filter, isn't it, really? So it's obviously doing its job, isn't it? I'm just going to show you what's inside of it. Just take that bolt off. This has been cleaned out already. But yeah, you've got this drain screw on the bottom. Let's drain the water. It's got a bit of a splash guard at the top. Oops, splash guard at the top. And then it has got a rubber seal in there as well. If you do keep sediments, I recommend you swap the seal, because again, just like this, you've got potential for air leaks in this through the seal. Right, I'm going to quickly show you the difference between the Sedimenter. This is the Sedimenter off the truck, and what's inside that. And this is the new filter, Delphi 296 or HDF 296 filter. Gone for the one with the glass bowls on the bottom. This is certainly better than this. There's no filtration at all in this. It's just crap. It's a Sedimenter, so sediment crap drops to the bottom. As there's water, and you've got drain at the bottom. You can drain it off. With this one, you've actually got filters, so it's a step up from this. It does fit, as you can see, in the same sort of bolt positions. So it's a like for like swap, exactly the same. But you've got two-stage filter on this one. You can get single ones, or as I've gone for the double one. Same sort of concept. You've got your Sedimenter part of it at the bottom. So if there's any water, it will be at the bottom. And you can just turn these bleed valve basically to get rid of any water if it's in there. Same sort of concept. This is like a push. It's not a screw on. This just pushes on. Pushes up, seals up, and then you've got a bolt at the top, or just clamp it down. Same with this, you've got a bolt at the top, one on each side. So this just basically, it's you've got the head of it, the glass bowl, a seal there, you've got a seal, I think on this inside shaft as well, and then these two glass bowls. The downside to this, over and above the screw-on type, is, again, we all know about air leaks into the fuel system, which is bad. There's lots of potential for air leaks with these, because you've got a seal there and a seal there. Basically, these two seals, it doesn't screw on, you can't screw it tight, you just got to clamp it. I mean, it being glass, you can't clamp it too tight either, because it's glass, you can't crack it. So these can be problematic, but if you fit them right, they're okay. Right, I thought I'd just show you how to change a filter whilst it's before I fit it. It's obviously easy to show you now without dieseling it everywhere. But basically, you've got an O-ring on there, and when you buy these replacement filters, typically will come with some spare O-rings, but basically you've got an O-ring on there. This obviously goes through. This is the securing bolt. There is actually a little O-ring on there as well. This will screw off there, basically. So you basically just get your filter that way up. There is actually a seal as well in there. There's two seals for them. This is the bigger, well, thicker seal I should say, but a smaller size because this fits around there. A slightly bigger one here because this is the head of it, as you can see, is slightly bigger. It's got a lip on that. So yeah, you basically push that in. Make sure it's seated in that top seal, and on this seal there. Push that in. Like that. That should seat nicely. Put this seal on there. Probably a good idea to put a bit of diesel or oil or something on it, basically, to let it lubricate it when you're doing it properly. Put your ball on. I've got a glass ball. I'm not sure what you'll have. They could be different because they do. People choose different ones. You could have just a metal filter at the bottom, whatever. That seal goes on there, and this goes on there, and this just screws in basically. But you want to basically, like I say, because it's not a screw on, it can be a bit fiddly. Just make sure the seals are seated properly, and critical is because you do not want to get air in the system. So squash it all down basically, and then tighten it all up. Right, well this is the Parker Racor copy. So this is the 500 FG. As I say, this is the Chinese version of it. This is only like between £30 and £40 on eBay and Amazon. I think I got mine off Amazon slightly more expensive just because I wanted it delivered quickly. So yeah, this is a good filter. It's a cyclonic type filter. This is quite a well-built copy, Chinese copy. Reviews are kind of alright of it, so this is why I went with this rather than paying a lot more. But what you basically got, same sort of concept in that fuel goes in, but you can see the fuel inlet ports on inlet and outlets on the side here. So obviously the fuel goes up inside it, around the filter and down and out. But basically what it means is you can change the filter on the top. I'll show you that in a second. You can change it without having fuel go everywhere. So basically, how you change the filter, you got your drain off at the bottom, just unscrews. Obviously, any water that sinks to the bottom in here, you can obviously drain that water off. But all you do to change the filter on this, it's dead easy and a lot less messy, is you just put a cup or something underneath just to drain a little bit of the diesel out, just to drop the level slightly. So probably drain it about a centimetre or an inch maybe down from here. You undo the top like this. This is just, you don't need any tool for this, it's just a T-handle as well, which is quite cool. Take the top off, obviously this will be attached to somewhere like your bulkhead. Then this comes off. There is a seal around there. I'm not sure how good the seal is, but yeah, there's a seal in there. The only bad bit of this design, I think it's the 900 and 9000, the bigger version of this is better. But just to get this cartridge out, you're going to need something just to pull the handle out like that. And then drop that. And then, yeah, this cartridge just comes out. Just a paper cartridge. These are a bit more expensive, these filters, than the CAV filter. But yeah, you know, inside of this bowl, your fuel would still be sat in there. It's not going to start pouring out. I suppose while it's open, I'll quickly show you how it works. To change it, so what you need to do is just drop a little bit of fuel out, like an inch of fuel. Take the old filter out. Pull the old filter out. Put the new filter back in. Get some clean diesel and pour some clean diesel in here, just up to about there basically. And then you put the lid back on. Obviously check your seal. If you've got a new seal, put it on if it needs it. You've got a seal in the bottom of there. I did find that this Chinese thing, the seal's really bad, the O-ring, so I'm probably going to swap that O-ring for a better one. But anyway, and that just tightens back up again. Now the beauty of this is because it's not let any air in, you don't have to bleed your system, in theory, anyway. Obviously don't drain all this all the way, but basically you've still got fuel in there. Because you've filled it up as well, you've got fuel in there, so a lot easier to manage, less mess, less chance of air getting in your system, and less need to bleed the system once you've changed it. So yeah, pretty impressed with that. So you've got an in, this side's the inlet port and this is outlet port. So what happens if the fuel comes in the inlet, as you can see in the top there, if the cat will let you, get in the way you. The fuel goes in the inlet, it comes out and down here, and this is like, as you can see, it's shaped like to allow the fuel to come in and spin around basically. It's like a cyclonic filter, I think they call it. But as it's spinning around in here, that just helps the water to separate from the diesel. It obviously spins faster if it's a more powerful engine or sucking the fuel through faster. So I'm not quite sure how it will work on the DAF, if it'll be the right sort of, if it'll be as effective being a cyclonic filter. But nonetheless, it does the same thing. The water and the any sediments will drop out here. And obviously you can turn this drain here, this drain tap, and drain that off. Obviously this will sit in a vertical position. So yeah, so it comes in here, then obviously it goes up and through, obviously the fuel then go up through the filter element, then it comes out in this central part, obviously it comes from the outside, so it's being filtered through this way, through the paper filter. It ends up in the middle, that comes down the central shaft and then out the outlet port, which is this one here. See inside. Like I say, if I just take this central shaft out as well, to show you this just unscrews. But what you can see inside of it is obviously, this is filters in there. The fuel comes, obviously there's fuels in this part here. It'll go through this side of the filter and out through the top. But when it comes to this section at the top, it's obviously going to fall down this hole in here. And then that's going to go down out of this part, which is in there. And as you can see, once it goes in there, then it's directed basically through there and out this way. So basically it comes in here, comes from that side into the bottom, up through the filter, down through this shaft, and into the hole, and then out this way, out of there. So that's kind of how it works. A really bad explanation, but it gives you an idea, doesn't it? We can show you the spec. That's the spec of this particular model. So on the DAF, 227 litres per hour is more than enough. It does come with some attachments. Banjo fittings on there. And we've also got the standard sort of fishtail type fitting as well on there. It's a bit sloppy, but with the seal on it, it's quite nice and tight. Not a bad thread. Without the seal, it's a bit more sloppy. Not too bad though. That's fine. Yeah, that's it. So this is this has got a lot of advantages over the old-fashioned, old-school tractor type CAV filter that I've put on my truck. But the main advantages of this, well, maybe I'll talk about the disadvantages of the other one. If you remember from the one I've just shown you, just to recap, it's got lots of different sections, each with a seal, so that's lots of places that air can get in. When you swap it, you've got to drain all the diesel out of it, which means when you put it back on, you've got air in the system, which means you've got to bleed it. It's therefore messy as well, especially if you're in a tight sort of place where it's fitted and you can't get your hands in there easily. It's harder to do. Now the disadvantages of that kind of play into the advantages of this. So the advantages of this are, obviously once it's mounted up right, you don't need any tools to change this. This is just a screw off top. It's got a cartridge filter in this top part here. But if you look at where the ports are, yeah, the inlet and outlet ports are halfway up, and what that means is that your diesel's on it sitting at this level, yeah. So if you're taking the filter at the top part, you're not basically having to drain all the diesel out. You do have to drain a little bit out of here, but basically when you change it, you take the old filter out, it lifts out. So obviously because it's lifting out at the top, you're not got any crap and mess and diesel coming out the bottom, other than the bit you drain off into a receptacle. So this is a lot cleaner to do. Yeah, when you put it back in, you just top it up with diesel on top, and again, it's not getting air in the system, so you've less seals to go wrong that can leak, you've less mess when you take the old filter cartridge out, and you don't get air in your system, so you don't need to bleed. Hopefully it shows you the advantages of using this filter over the old style CAV filter, and certainly the advantages of using this over a Sedimenter. So the last type of filter I wanted to show you, or pre-filter, was one called a Separ, which is probably the dog's danglies of the filters. This is the very expensive one. Certainly if you're on a marine, on a boat, you probably want this. I'm not sure how critical it really is for the DAF, to be honest, for the cost of it, but it's the best. It's called a Separ SWK2000 fuel filter stroke water separator, and it's another kind of version of a cyclonic type filter. So I don't have one to show you, but I've got a couple of pictures of obviously the pictures I'm showing now. So how it kind of works is that the diesel enters the filter, and then it's like I say, it's a cyclonic one, so the denser particles get spun out, and obviously water gets spun out as well. And then inside it's got these things called separation vanes or something, but basically the fuel will go over that, then the smallest particles basically get removed, because at the top of it is like a fine filter. So yeah, the denser particles get spun out at the bottom with the water, and then the fine particles get filtered out by this. It's like a square type filter, and then obviously the fuel comes out the other end. But I think with that one you can actually back flush it. There's like a bleed valve on the top of it, so you can actually technically back flush it. Obviously you can replace the filter as well, but you can back flush them. So yeah, they're a quite expensive option, but I think probably that's if budget or money is not a limit, probably that's the one to go for. So, but I think you can't go wrong with the CAV filter. It's going to be better than the separator, or like I say, the Racor, either the genuine or the Chinese copy are probably, I think, the best bets really for a good compromise between sort of functionality, performance, and budget. Right, so hopefully that helps. Thank you for watching, and hope it helps you in your decision if you're going to upgrade your pre-filter. Cheers.